Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Resilient Podcast. This is episode 57. Today, we're going to talk about chapter 40, but I wanted to first say to everyone on today's episode, thank you for spending a little bit of time of your day with me. Whether you're listening on your morning commute at the gym, during a walk, or maybe you're just sitting with your thoughts, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate you for listening to Rob Aurelius and the Resilient Podcast or watching on YouTube. And, you know, this episode, like most episodes, is very special for me. This is a very special one because a week ago, I turned 40 years old. 40. And I'm not sure if you guys remember the last time I spoke to you guys on episode 56, I told you this would be my last episode at the age of 39. So I'm no longer in my 30s. I am now a 40-year-old man. And that it's hitting me in the feels just thinking about it. I'm still celebrating, I'm still thinking about it, but you know, it's the end of the month, and as we close out Mental Health Awareness Month, I couldn't think of a better topic than taking a look in the mirror and asking myself one simple question. And that question is, who have I become? Not what I have accomplished, not how much money I have made, not what opportunities have come my way, but who have I become through all of it? The victories, the disappointments, the heartbreak, the healing, the growth, the setbacks, the resilience. So today, we're calling this episode Chapter 40, Taking Inventory. There's a song that I may have discussed this with you guys in the past when I spoke about Michael Jackson, but there's a song of Michael Jackson that I love. And even though Billie Jean is my favorite Michael Jackson song of all time, and several others, there's one song that it's literally like an anthem for those that are going through tough times and whatever the case may be. It's just a song that it's universal. I feel like everyone can use this song. Everyone can relate to this song. And that song is Man in the Mirror. And I'm going to talk about the man in the mirror. Because you see, when I turned 38 years old in 2024, I was in a completely different place emotionally. Many of you know my story by watching and listening to these episodes. I mean, we're 57 episodes in. I'm sure that everyone that has been an avid resilient podcast person, just listening and watching every episode, you know my story by now. And you know that I was navigating through heartbreak and I was trying to understand why certain things happened. I was carrying pain that I didn't fully know how to process, right? Because this breakup happened so suddenly, so unexpected. And, there were moments where I felt lost, moments where I questioned myself because of everything that was happening, moments where I wondered if life would ever feel normal again. Because I'm sure most of us have been through that at some point in life. I'm sure that most of us have felt like, hey, is my life ever going to be the same ever again? And if I'm being honest, my birthday at 38 felt so lonely. Not because I wasn't surrounded by people, but because internally I was carrying a weight that nobody else could see. Because remember, on my 38th birthday, I was supposed to do something I have never done before, and that was to go on a cruise around the Caribbean islands. In 2023, Christmas to be exact, my ex-girlfriend gave me a Christmas gift, which was a passport wallet and a passport book. And when she gave it to me, I asked her, what is this, what is this for future traveling? And that's where she announced, we are going for your birthday, because I had celebrated her birthday a month prior, November 19th. And my birthday is May 19th. So she said, for your 38th birthday, we're going on a cruise. All you would need to do is just buy your flight. We'll be leaving from Miami and going on this cruise. And I think the cruise was like a week or something. And it never happened. Because she told me this in December 2023, and we broke up March 21st of 2024. And then when May 19 came around, we were not together anymore. And that was the sad part. But, fast forward 2 years later, I'm not perfect. I don't have everything figured out. I still have challenges. I still have difficult days. But I've learned something important. Healing doesn't mean becoming someone new. A lot of people think that healing means that you have to become someone new. In reality, what I've determined, especially through therapy, is that healing means returning to who you were before life convinced you that you weren't enough. And that realization changed everything for me. When people hear the word inventory, they usually think about business, products, numbers, assets. But today I'm talking about personal inventory. At 40 years old, I asked myself, am I kinder? Am I more patient? Am I more intentional? Am I more self-aware? Am I more resilient? And the answer is yes. Not because life got easier, but because I've been learning how to carry difficult things differently. I've learned that peace is more valuable than proving a point. I've learned that protecting your mental health, and listen to this very closely, protecting your mental health is not selfish. I've learned that growth often requires letting go. Sometimes you have to let go of things and you have to let go of people. Sometimes expectations, sometimes dreams, sometimes old versions of yourself. And that isn't failure. That's evolution. So, speaking about evolution, when I first started this podcast in 2024 with Josh, we never talked about sponsorships. We never talked about, who we were going to target it for sponsors. We weren't going to talk about, we talked about merch. We talked about certain things. But again, it was just all the development stages. And I will be completely honest with you. We are in 2026. This is season 3 of the Resilient Podcast. And believe it or not, and I don't care what anybody else thinks, because I know there's always going to be people out there. They're going to be like, wait, you're in season 3 and you still feel this way about your podcast. But I do. What I'm about to say is that even though I'm in season 3 of this podcast, I'm still considered that we are in developmental stages, because the Resilient Podcast, see how we're virtual right now? See how like I'm doing this podcast in my virtual space? And I'm using my headphones and I'm using my mic. And you guys have heard and seen episodes of the Resilient Podcast where obviously I've done it in a different location. I've done it with DJI mics, right? But in the near future, all of this stuff, I'm going to be transitioning, in the near future, the Resilient Podcast is going to take a different turn. And, we're going to be doing episodes that are, more like, I don't know, like technology is going to be like, boom, you know what I'm saying? So I just, turning 40 years old the other day, it made me reflect a lot. It made me think a lot about a lot of things. And man, this is my first episode at the age of 40. I started this podcast when I was 30. Oh, wow. I was 37 years old when I started this podcast. Look at that. In April 19, 2024, I was still 37 years old. And I didn't turn 38 till a month later. So I was 37 when I started this podcast. Now I'm 40 years old, still doing this podcast. And in that whole scheme of things, speaking of reflection, I recently published a brand new article on the Resilience Tribune. I want you all to check it out. The article is centered around my 40th birthday, where I talk about where I am in life right now, what this milestone means to me, and how resilience has shaped my journey. So if you haven't had a chance to read it yet, I encourage you to visit the website right here on the screen, TheResilientPodcast.com, and read this article, because it talks about who I am today, 40-year-old Rob Aurelius. I wrote this article literally a few days after I turned 40. And it's funny because I knew that I was going to be the article of the month for the month of May, but I almost did it before my birthday. But then I said, no, why would you do that? Publish your article on the day of your birthday, or publish your article after your birthday, because it will have more meaning. And it's my first article on the Resilience Tribune that I publish at the age of 40, and many more to come. And, I poured a lot of myself into that article because it's honest, it's reflective, and I hope it resonates with anyone who may be navigating their own season of growth and transformation. So remember how I said that I was 37 when I started the podcast, and then I was 38 a month later? Let's talk about what 38-year-old Rob Aurelius couldn't see. One of the most powerful exercises I've done recently was imagining a conversation between the version of myself that turned 38 when I was on that bridge in Hartford, Connecticut, filming for the Resilience Project. And, I was imagining a conversation between the version of me that had just turned 38 and the version of me that just turned 40. And if I could sit down with that version of me today, I'd tell him this: keep going. The pain won't last forever. The answers will come. You don't have to rush healing. You don't have to become somebody else to be worthy. Trust God. Trust the process. Trust yourself. Because the very thing you think is breaking you is actually building you. And eventually you'll realize that what felt like an ending was actually a beginning. And I really want people to know that. If your birthday's coming up, for those, because now we're Gemini season. For those that your birth, and even if, here's the thing, and hold on, it's not just for the folks that are their birthdays are coming up. It's also for the folks that your birthday passed as well too. So I want you all to understand something. If your birthday's coming up right now, or your birthday's already passed, I want you to do that. Same thing that I did, sit down with the new version of yourself. Sit down with, if you're 40 years old, if you turn 37, 38, 25, whatever, sit down with that new version of yourself and talk to yourself and tell yourself different things. Things that you didn't tell yourself before. Things that you couldn't thought of before. Words of affirmation, whatever it is that it takes. But tell yourself something. So, folks, we're going to go on a quick break. But before we continue today's episode, I want to take a moment to thank one of our amazing sponsors, because this episode is brought to you in part by Victor Melgar and Nala Health. Victor reached out to me for my birthday. And, if you have been following the podcast for a while, you know that I'm a strong believer in taking care of ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Nala Health focuses on holistic medicine and holistic wellness and natural solutions designed to help support your overall well-being. One of their standout products is their premium CBD oil, which many people use as part of their daily wellness routine. If you're looking for natural ways to support recovery, relaxation, and overall balance, I encourage you to check them out by visiting this link right here on your screen, www.nalahealth.com. And remember, folks, that whenever you purchase something on that website using this code right here on the screen, TRP10, that means you receive a special discount on your purchase, 10%. And it's an ongoing discount. It's not just a one-time thing. It's an ongoing discount. So, Victor, thank you again, and Nala Health, for supporting the Resilient Podcast. It's one of the best sponsors to have. And folks, we'll be right back after this quick break, and we'll continue this episode. I'll see you all soon. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 57 of the Resilient Podcast. This episode, the chapter 40, man, let me talk to you guys a little bit about everything that has happened. So I have some friends that came from Florida. They came to visit me. Originally, the plan from like January was, hey, you're turning 40 in like 4 months. And we got to do it big. We got to, we live in New York. So either we do it in New York, or we do it in Vegas, or we do it somewhere else. We do it in Miami. You've never been to Miami. Or we do it in your favorite place, Tampa, or even one of your favorite places of all time, which is San Francisco. And they even said, even New Orleans. You love New Orleans. You haven't been to New Orleans in a long time. And I'm like, yeah, I haven't been to New Orleans since like 2022. But folks, I ended up just having my birthday just like I did last year. Last year I didn't go anywhere. Last year all I did was Diego had reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to do a photo shoot for your birthday?" And we did a very nice photo shoot. And if you guys follow me on social media, um, and if you don't, it's right here. Rob Aurelius on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Go back to that um, post from last year, 2025, where you'll see Diego's amazing photography. And I did an inspirational shoot. It was a shoot that involved Andre the Giant. It involved Grace Jones, who's one of the best music pioneers to ever exist, and it also includes the revolutionary and legendary Malcolm X. And it was a great photo shoot. And this year I did something similar and unique, but I kept it very, very simple. A friend of mine reaches out to me, literally writes to me on Instagram, "Wow, final boss, vibes." And what he was referring to was The Rock, because I was wearing like a jacket that's very like Versace inspired. Um, and it's something like The Rock would wear. And I had my glasses on. I was wearing this Versace inspired jacket, and a lot of people were like, "Is that Versace?" I was like, "No, it's not Versace. It's something that was actually made custom for me. It's a resilience jacket. A lot of people don't know that, but it's a jacket that inspires resilience. And one day I'll talk to you guys about it. I'll show you, probably for those that watch on YouTube, I'll show you the pieces about it. I wish that I could have included it in the documentary. But we have since then closed out the documentary. We stopped filming last year. And folks, speaking about the documentary, I just wanted to let you all know, because I know there's a lot of people that have been asking me. We're still in development. But I can, if it's fair to say, I can let you all know now that the documentary is slated to come out later on this year. I don't have a date for you yet, but when I do, of course, you guys will know right away. But anyways, so I did this photo shoot, and when I posted that picture that day, oh my God, I remember because I was showing it to somebody that was with me, and I was like, "Look at this picture. Look how many likes it's gotten already." Because people were waiting for my birthday picture. People are like, "Hey, we're so used to your birthday pictures. You post a birthday picture like almost every year. So like we were waiting for your birthday picture. We saw your company shouted you out. We saw that some people had shouted you out, but like your official birthday picture." And I was like, you guys almost didn't get a birthday picture, because I was thinking like, should I give people a birthday picture this year? Um, and I was like, you know what? Why not? And the thing is, we did a photo shoot that day, but we did it at midnight. So May 19th, midnight, we did a photo shoot. Because I had done a prior photo shoot the week before my birthday to like say goodbye to my 30s. And it was very nice. And it's funny because I had a lot of people reaching out to me like, "Hey, is that you? Is that AI generated?" And I'm like, "Why would it be AI generated?" And then it's funny because I got the idea off of that. So I actually created a AI photo, because I couldn't physically, get a photo of me when I was a child and me when I was a teenager. And what I did was I did something inspiring. I got a statue. I did an AI generated photo of myself at 10 years old, and then a picture, and you guys can check it out on my social media. If it's literally there. It's like one of my most recent posts. But literally, I have, so what I do is I have the name of the picture was 4 decades of Rob Aurelius, right? Because every 10 years it's a decade. So I didn't post a picture of myself as a baby. I posted a picture of myself at 10, and it was a statue of me at 10 years old. And then I had a statue of me at 20 when I was in college, and then another statue of me when I was 30. And then there's me at the age of 40 with this nice trench coat, this peacoat, because for those of you who know me, in the wintertime, I love wearing peacoats, but I just love wearing peacoats, period. Because I mean, I don't wear peacoats obviously in the spring or the summer, but I love when the winter comes, when the fall comes, because man, I just love wearing peacoats. Peacoats is like one of the things that I really, really, truly enjoy. And of course, a lot of people reached out to me. It's like, "Hey, that's a very nice photo." But yes, that was AI generated, because obviously I couldn't physically create that photo. I don't have a statue of myself at 10 or a statue of myself at 20 and 30. So it was a very nice photo, but my birthday photo is legit. Um, there was some people that reached out and said, "Hey, that's a very nice, photo of you, AI generated." It's like, this is not AI generated. And then if you look at my social media that night, like on my birthday, I had a birthday dinner. I was actually wearing the same outfit that I wore to the photo shoot. So everybody's like, "Oh, so it was real. Like that jacket is not fake. That jacket was not taken off of social media." I was like, "No, why would that jacket be fake?" Because I did have some people that reached out to me. I was like, "Hey, you're looking pretty good these days. Are these photos AI generated?" And I was like, "Not all of them." I think people can tell the difference between an AI generated photo and a photo that's just me, the real me. So I had a lot of fun. But Saturday, my friends that came into town from Florida like Thursday or something. And Friday they wanted to hang out, but Friday I was busy. But Saturday, I was able to go out and I literally just went out with my friends and we had a very good time. We went downtown Brooklyn. We were supposed to originally go to Queens and we ended up just going to downtown Brooklyn and we went to Dumbo and we had a very good time. We had such a view of what, and the thing is, everybody chose Brooklyn because everybody was like, "Hey, we're all from Brooklyn. We all went to school in Brooklyn." So that's where they wanted to be. They wanted to be in Brooklyn, and that's exactly what we did. We were in Brooklyn, and most of my friends already turned 40. I have a friend that I actually have two friends um, from that group that are going to turn 40 soon. One of them is actually turning 40 next month, and the other one is turning 40, I believe, in August or September. I can't forget. I'm getting old. I can't remember people's birthdays as much as I always remember people's birthdays. So bottom line, um, we did something where we were like, it was Saturday. My birthday wasn't until Tuesday. So they're like, "Hey, Rob, are you ready to say goodbye to 39?" And I was like, "I'll be saying goodbye to 39 on May 18th at 11:59 p.m." And they're like, "No, no, no. You got to start. You have to get it ready. You got to get ready to like say goodbye to 39." And it took me to be with my friends that Saturday night. And, I had a few sips of my favorite tequila, Terramana. It took me then to realize that I wasn't ready to say goodbye to 39. But then I thought about 37 when my ex and I broke up. I thought about 38 when 2015 came. I turned 39 and I was like, why do I want to dwell on the past? Why do I want to hold on to the past? If I'm becoming more resilient than ever, why do I want to hold on to anything? Anything worth holding on to should not cause you pain. So I said, fuck it. We're going to say goodbye to 39. And I was emotional as hell. And my friend gave me a bottle and said, "Do you have a message? Anything that you may have written?" And I said, "Oh my God, yes." So my friend's like, "You want to go to your house so we could go pick it up?" I was like, "I actually have it in my office." And it was a letter that I wrote. I wrote a letter to myself a while ago. And we actually came to, Dumbo's not that far from my house because I live in Park Slope in Brooklyn. So my friends drove me back down and I got that letter. I put it in a bottle, an empty bottle, a glass bottle, and I threw it into the water. And it's funny because they wanted to document it. And I was like, "No, I'm not documenting this. This is for me." And I said a prayer and I was like, "Folks, there's a possibility I still won't make it till 40." And like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Life is precious. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. I could do this right now. I probably won't, Tuesday morning, I probably won't be alive." And they're like, "Oh, stop. You're going to be alive and well on Tuesday." And here I am. I'm 40 years old. A week later, I'm 40 years old and I'm thriving and I'm still alive and I'm thankful for the Lord above for that. So, um, you know, I threw this into the water and then we spent the rest of the night just catching up and talking about our childhoods. And I have one friend in the group who's turning 39 this year, currently 38. And it's like, man, I'm not, now I got to be in the position that Rob's in. Oh, the Rob's in right now. Like, I got to get ready to say to my 30s. And I looked at my friend and I smiled and I gave her a kiss and a hug. And I said to her, listen, just know something. Your 30s were cool. You learned so much. It was where you really, really started feeling like an adult, because I feel like people in their 20s, we don't take it serious. We don't take the fact that we're like an adult, because, you know, once you're 21, you're fully an adult. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no turning back. I mean, I know there's people like, oh, you're an adult when you're 18. Yeah, of course. By the law, we're an adult when we're 18. But after 21, there's no excuses. You can't say, oh, I'm still young. I'm still, no. You're still young in age, but you're not a child anymore. You're not a teenager. You're a full grown adult. So I feel like we start waking up, most of us, because not all of us, but we start waking up in our 30s. I know I started waking up in my 30s, like, holy crap, what the hell? And I remember when I got my first gray, it was like literally on my head. And I showed it to my mom and I was like, Mom, look. And she's like, yeah. And then I started getting grays in my beard in my mid 30s. And I'm like, what is going on? My doctor's over here saying, oh, it's, lack of copper and this and this and this and whatnot. And I'm like, really? Okay. And then I was like, okay. But the thing is, I started to embrace everything. I started to embrace that I was aging. I started to embrace that, because most people suffer through this. And, we are talking about mental health because we're dealing with Mental Health Awareness Month still. But a lot of people's mental health gets affected when they realize that they're aging too. You know what I'm saying? And that's why we have a lot of these celebrities doing plastic surgeries and all these crazy things, because they don't want to admit they're in denial that they're getting older. And here's one thing I can tell you all is embrace that you're getting older. Believe it or not, folks, getting older is a beauty and it's a blessing. I hear people most of the time, I don't want to get old. I don't want to be an old person. I don't want to be an old man. I think it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's important to embrace age. So that night, I shed a tear or two, and so did my friends, because I you know me, I'm the king of poetry. I embraced them and I said something very powerful to them, because, it was 6 of us, 2 men and 3 women. And I made them emotional. And they hugged me and they said, man, we have so many friends. We have so many people we love. But when it comes to you, Rob, it's just something about you. You just, and I remember I made a speech to them that night. And I said to them, look, we're not perfect. We never will be. We'll continue to make mistakes. We're going to continue to get people upset. We're going to continue to do things that are messed up. We're going to continue to hurt ourselves sometimes and self-sabotage and whatnot. But all we can do is, when we realize that we're in the wrong, just take accountability and apologize when we're wrong, and tell the people that we love them every single day. Because you have to tell people that. You have to tell people you love them every single day. But I had such a great night that Saturday, and then I was out of commission Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday, my birthday came. And, my mom was the first one to give me a hug because she was visiting. And my mom usually used to wait till 1 p.m. because technically that was the time that I was born, on May 19th. And I was born on a Tuesday. So 40 years ago, I think May 19th was on a Tuesday. And I was born at 1 p.m. And my mom would wait till 1 p.m. every year to tell me happy birthday. But this year was different. This year, she actually hugs me like around 8 o'clock in the morning to tell me happy birthday. And my mom gave me money. My father gave me money. My dad who just turned 75. My mom has a home attendant, and even she gave me money in a card. And I was like, wow. But I went out to dinner with a special friend, and I received so many beautiful gifts, and I had such a beautiful view. And you guys can see the video on my social media of me thanking everyone for the birthday wishes. Man, it was such a beautiful thing. It was like a movie to me. It was so important to me that I was turning 40. So important. And some people are like, yeah, it is important because no other age is going to matter until you're 50. And I'm like, every age, every age matters, but man, I was so happy. And I'm glad that I was happy. I'm glad that I didn't allow what happened to me 2 years ago when I was on that bridge in Hartford, Connecticut, reflecting. I haven't even had a moment to reflect. When I was 30, when I turned 38, I was on that bridge reflecting, saying a prayer to God. I mean, I did that prayer before I turned 40 that Saturday. But when I turned 38, I reflected on that bridge. Same thing when I was 39. I went somewhere and I reflected. I haven't reflected yet. And I do plan to, because next week will be 2 weeks since I turned 40. So I plan to reflect. And I don't know where I'm going to do it, but I'm going to reflect somewhere. And I'm going to talk to God. But for those of you that are planning to turn 40 this month, this year, whatever, for anyone turning 40, period, this year, it's not bad. It's beautiful. Embrace it. And this is why I want to let you all know that resilience is not a destination. One thing I've learned throughout this journey is that resilience isn't a destination. It's a practice. It's not something you arrive at. It's something you choose every single day. You choose to get up. You choose to keep trying. You choose to keep believing. You choose to keep growing. Even when life doesn't go according to plan, even when you're disappointed, even when you're uncertain, or even when you're tired, because God knows when we feel tired. But guess what? That's resilience, not perfection, but progress. And folks, like I said, it is the end of the month. It is the end of Mental Health Awareness Month. And as we close out Mental Health Awareness Month, I want to remind everyone listening and watching this podcast episode that your mental health matters. Checking in with your family and friends matters. Seeking help matters. Having difficult conversations matters. Too many people suffer silently, and we know that. Too many people believe they have to carry everything alone. And the fact of the matter is, the truth is that you don't have to carry that with you. Whether it's therapy, faith, support groups, friends, community, find what helps you heal. I know what helped me heal. I know what's been helping me healing with my healing process. And it's this podcast, the Resilient Podcast. And it's therapy. I have such a great therapist that I have been talking to for the last few years. And she's done such a great job, talking to me. And I truly, truly appreciate her, because I'm telling you, if it wasn't for her, I don't know where I would be. The fact of the matter is that when I had this breakup, when I went through this breakup, my therapist was right there with me. She was with me. She's been there with me. She was there with me when I started this relationship, and she was there with me when this relationship ended, and she's been with me ever since. So I want to take this moment to thank her as well, too. Thank my therapist, Isabel, for being there for me. So, folks, you got to find what helps you heal. And don't be afraid to use it. Strength isn't pretending everything is okay. Strength is acknowledging when it isn't and doing something about it. And I want you all to understand that. So, in today's cards of James, because we're getting close to ending this episode soon, the card says, nothing changes if nothing changes. As you can see right here for those that are watching on YouTube. If you don't change anything, how can you expect change? If you have a bad job, you're miserable at your job, how are you going to feel better? Find a better job. But if you don't find a better job, you're going to stay stuck. If you're in a relationship, if you're involved somewhere where you don't feel appreciated, you don't feel valued, you just don't feel like you are happy, make that change. Because the thing is, again, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And that's just the truth. You have to make the change that you want to see. If you want growth, if you want to adapt, if you want to evolve, please make that change. And it's so funny that I was talking to you all earlier about Man in the Mirror. And this card, I just randomly selected it from the deck, from the cards of James. At the end of Man in the Mirror song, what does Michael Jackson say? Make that change. So I'm telling you, folks, if you don't like where you are right now, if you're not happy with where you are, how much money you're making, you don't like the school you're in, you don't like the relationship that you're in, you don't like, that you're overweight and you're not healthy, make that change. And this is something that you have to do within you and only you. It's great to have supporters. It's great to have people that are going to support your journey or help you. But overall, it's about you. Make that change. So before we wrap up today's episode, I like to take another chance to, thank another one of our sponsors, which is Matty Rock and his coffee, Matty Rock's Coffee. If you're looking for a great cup of coffee to start your day or fuel your next project, be sure to check out Matty Rock's Coffee. As someone who spends countless hours writing these episodes, creating content like I always do, producing these podcasts, and building businesses like I always do, I know the importance of a good cup of coffee. So please visit the link on the screen right here for Matty Rock's Coffee. And don't forget to use the promo code TRP10. That's TRP10, which is right here on the screen, for a special discount on your order. 10% off your coffee of any kind when you use the code TRP10 because you're listening to this podcast or you're watching it on YouTube. So again, thank you to Maddie and Matty Rock's Coffee supporting the Resilient Podcast. Truly appreciate it. And folks, as I close this chapter of 39 and begin the new one of 40, I said this to my friends, and I even said this on my post. If you look at my post on social media, I took a picture with them that Saturday night, and I actually posted a picture like a few days ago. I said that I don't pretend that I have all the answers because I just don't. I don't pretend to have everything figured out because the truth of the matter is I don't. But I do know this. I've survived things I once thought would break me. I've learned the lessons I couldn't have learned any other way. And I've become stronger because of it. At 40 years old, I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still healing. I'm still evolving. And perhaps most importantly, still believing. The best chapters of my life haven't been written yet. And I know that for a fact. But this is chapter 40. And the story of Rob Aurelius continues. So I want to thank you all for listening to the Resilient Podcast. Thank you for always supporting the Resilient Podcast. Because honestly, like I said to you guys many, many times in the past, I appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart. You don't know how I feel, how it makes me feel when I see people reaching out to me to talk to me about this podcast, how it's impacted them, how it's helped them. It really makes me feel good. So this is all I got for episode 57. The next episode will be episode 58, and we're going to have a special guest on the episode because next month is going to be a great month as well, too. Next month, I'm going to interview some guys because I haven't interviewed any guys yet this year. If you noticed, every person that I've had on the podcast so far has been a female. but I do plan to have a guy on this episode because we're going to talk about Men's Health Month, and I look forward to that. But this is episode 57, so episode 50 will be next. And again, I want to thank you all for your support. Thank you for supporting me, Rob Aurelius. Thank you for those that support ARCG Media. We're turning 13 years old next month. Thank you for supporting the Resilience Tribune. We're celebrating 2 years this year. November 19th, we're celebrating 2 years of the Resilience Tribune. We just celebrated, 2 years of the Resilient Podcast. Man, I can't believe that all these milestones are just happening. But I also want to thank you for being part of this journey. So this is all I have for this episode, and I truly appreciate you all from the bottom of my heart, and I truly mean it. But until next time, and always remember to remain resilient and stay resilient. I'll see you all in episode 58. Thank you for tuning in. God bless you all. I'll see you all soon. Peace.